Well, I'm on a boat. I'm on a, you know the rest of the song. We're here at the floating market, day 3 of Geeks Adventure in Thailand. What I'll call these videos actually. This is a traditional way of Thai doing things. Basically, you're on a boat, you paddle down, you stop at a shop and you look at things. I have to say, the Shannon is a lot clearer. This is the way Thailand has done things for hundreds of years, and it's quite an interesting thing to say. One of the things I really wanted to see, because it's a bit more of a, it's well outside of Bangkok, so it's not quite the tourist attraction that a lot of other places are. Obviously this is still very touristy, you know, a lot of things selling, a lot of touristy stuff. I just wanted to look more than anything else. But it's a fascinating way of how the old meets the new. And obviously, you know, I come from a country that has got a lot of cultural heritage as well. And this shows a way of life that actually seems a bit more sedentary than the madness that is the direct centre of Bangkok. Plus, I like being on boats. I've always liked boats. A bit more later. Thailand really does strike me as a country that is still very much in the grips of old meets new. I mean, Bangkok itself is clearly a westernised capitalist system, but there's so much of the old that still seeps through. You know, it's like a quaint little Irish village, but on a massive global scale. It's huge. I mean, Bangkok is a sprawling metropolis. And by Western standards, a lot of the buildings look run down and tired and need fixing. But these people seem very content with their way of life, though I have noticed that there does seem to be some very severe unrest in regards to government, especially the powers of the police, which obviously I've alluded to in previous videos, that you don't want to annoy the police. But they seem to be a happy people. Kind of like the Irish in many regards. You know, we're very, yeah, we'll see what happens. I will say, I don't like this. I'm still at the floating market. I don't like it. It's very, very aggressive. Very, very pushy. You cannot look at something without them going, you'll buy, cheap, 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 cheap. And on the boat, it's worse. You know, if you're on land, you just walk away. But on the boat, A, you're dependent on the driver moving you off, not you. And also, you've got about 10 or 12 other people on the boat with you. And unfortunately, I got caught out. Mind you, the way I argued with her, she wanted 1,900 baht for this, and I ended up paying her 500. And the worst part is, it's not for me, it's going to someone else who's probably going to break it. Well, I can hope not. But it's very aggressive. It's obviously a tourist trap. This thing here. This floating village, at least this floating market anyway, is a tourist trap. That's all it is. You know, it's cheap goods that, because we're foreigners, it's overpriced. I mean, the girl that I was sat next to on the boat, Chinese lady who's been living in Denmark, she didn't like it either. She didn't like the way they did things either. She was hoping for something, and I was, in some regards, hoping for something a bit more traditional, of a bit more of their natural way of life. And I don't think that it has that. And as I said, they're very aggressive, very pushy. You cannot look at anything without them breathing down your neck. And I said the boats are a lot worse because you can't move away from the boats. You know, I mean, obviously the guy who's driving the boat also wants to help his fellow seller buy things. And with this one, you know, so he's not going to move the boat until you've bought something. And of course then you're holding everybody else up, and that also plays on. That's also part of it, because they know that you don't want to sit there for half an hour arguing with somebody while the rest of the boat behind you is sat there basically going. So there we go. No, I have to say this part I haven't enjoyed. Sorry, I have to say this part I haven't enjoyed so much. I'll be glad to get back to. Well, we've got the boat ride through the village, which might be interesting, but I doubt it. But at least in Bangkok, where I am, on the Khao San Road, it's not as aggressive. I mean, yeah, they come out and stop you, but you can walk away from it there. You can't do that here. And even the land market's just as bad. With cars on the land as well. Good job, yeah, loud petrol motors everywhere, as well as the paddle boats. They don't really go in for much of water conservation. I mean, look at that. Yeah, just rubbish and debris everywhere. But there we go. I guess that's the way that they've brought along it. You know, it's a sign of the way capitalism has forced itself upon these people. I don't know, something about this one especially just rings false. Oh well. Right, across the end of the river tour, I couldn't film any of that because A, we were getting wet, and B, it's too loud for me to hear anything, but this is actually quite peaceful, you know, it's out of the way of the city. It's quite peaceful. Had some more Thai food. Cranacorn, which is basically ground rice with nut milk and sugar. It was unbearably sweet. And then I had some, then myself and the lady that I've been chatting to, she had some like cranacorn and I had some of the fruit that she bought, which I'd never had anything like it. Again, I'm back to eating fruit. I'd never had anything like it. But it was, water is so dirty. It tasted quite a bit like grapefruit. Oh, wow. So this is the village on the water. Makes it sound like it belongs on Naruto. I don't know what we do here, whether we're just walking round, but that's the half day of the village of the water people finished. I keep putting Naruto for some strange reason. Where we ended up was very, very nice, but the floating market, as I said, I didn't like. It was a bit harsh. I thought very, very aggressive, and you know what? I was a salesman, so I know how to train salespeople, and I know there are more. But their way of selling is all out aggression, and I don't like that. It straight up puts back my event. I had one old lady trying to sell me Tiger Balm or something like that, and she actually grabbed me and she took some Tiger Balm out and started rubbing it on my forehead and then on my temples, and I'm like, whoa, hello lady, personal space, you know? Don't know what happened to the accent, but there we go. But yes, we'll see me making a move back to Bangkok, about an hour and a half drive back to Bangkok. But at least I have air conditioning. I've never been to a country that required air conditioning as much as this. Well, maybe Lanzarote, but I don't really remember much about air conditioning in Lanzarote. I just remember that I was bored. Main camera has died, and all the I brought iPod charger, video camera charger, Kindle charger, phone charger. Didn't bring a camera charger. Didn't, because it's actually a plug in the wall charge job. So it's back to the phone for the rest of the pictures, and I've still got a day and a half. So yeah, if you're watching this, if you're coming to Thailand, I would avoid the floating markets. Have I got a coach to myself? Yeah. I've said goodbye to the Chinese lady I was talking to. She's moving on to go to the Temple of the Tigers, which I'm not going to do. You know, I'm glad that I've seen the floating markets, but if I ever come back, I'll avoid them. I mean, you know, the sellers on the streets in Bangkok down the coastal road, they're quite in your face, and they are. God, I'm breathing sweat. They are quite in your face, and you can't deny that they are in your face, but at least they're friendly about it. These guys are practically shoving things into you, and I don't like that. It just rubs me up the wrong way. Rev the engine. Don't know why, but okay. But anyway, when I get back to Bangkok. Tile floors are ever so comfortable. Let's get facts as well. Oh joy. Day 3. And now that I've seen the immediate area of where I'm stopping, now that I'm starting to know it a little bit, I can walk around for, well, I have walked around for hours and still find my way back here. And it's starting to get to me a little now. The missus said it's homesickness. Maybe she's right, I don't know. I find myself wanting to do something. I'm not bored at all, but I can't think of anything to do. It's really, really strange. Very much a new feeling for me. I think part of it is that I am so far away from what I know. You know, I'm so far away from that quaint, yes, I did just use the word quaint, quiet, sleepy little town that I'm from, that I live in, that I love. Hence the Roscommon jersey. Incidentally, I was in Subway today. Yes, I had a Subway. I had a craving for a Subway. I think it's because I haven't actually had bread since the plane. But I went to a Subway. But maybe I've noticed it still counts as Thai food if I have Thai crisps. And they were actually really nice crisps. So there we go. This lad came in and goes, "Is that a Roscommon jersey?" And that was it then. Turns out he's from the same county. He's from the town about 30 kilometres from where I live. And he's been travelling. For about the last year, 3 years he's been travelling. So he hasn't seen a winter in 3 years, and he's going back to Ireland on December the 25th. And I'm just like, dude, pack an Eskimo outfit, you'll need it. Yeah, I do find that, you know, maybe I am just homesick. You know, maybe I'm just so far from the noise. But, and as most people know, I'm not a city lover. You know, and this is, I mean, living in Birmingham, you know, I suppose I got used to it more than anything else. But the noise, the smell, you get, there's rotten odours here that and it's rotten food. It's rotten, because there's no bins. There is no bins. The only bins so far that I have really seen, I think I've seen one, maybe kind of like a wheelie bin kind of job. The rest are all put out by the establishments. There's no street bins. I cannot believe that. And as I said, you know, it's still very clean. Well, the main streets are clean. The side streets, not so much. You know, there's no bins anywhere. I'll tell you what there is a lot of. Cats. Fucking cats. And they're not flipping nice, sweet little moggies. No, these are feral fuckers. And all looking very thin and undernourished. But there we go. Maybe the fat ones they keep for the pad thais. You never know. So yeah, I got chatting to a Roscommon lad. I said goodbye to that Chinese lady because she was carrying on to the Tiger Temple. the one that I was chatting to in the village, well, on the floating market, which, as I said in another video, I really didn't like, because she carried on to the tigers, and at first I wanted to see them, but the bloke that I spoke to in the tour office, he actually put me off it. He said that the tigers are very badly treated. But then they have to be, because they have to be subdued to allow people to get that close to them. You know, these are not pets. You know, these are majestic, ferocious beasts who are known to be man-eaters. Yet you see photos of tourists cuddling up to them with children sat on them, and that's not what a tiger should do. Tiger should take one look at that smirking little tourist. There we go. But the noise, the smell, the chaos, just the sheer intensity. And if one more guy offers to fit me for a fucking soup, I'm gonna kick him in the nuts. That's starting to grate. I know it's how they make their living and all that, and I suppose it's probably my own fucking fault for walking around the same street a dozen times. But you can't go 10 feet without someone trying to offer you something. Okay, they're not as pushy as they are in the floating markets. I think if they were as pushy as they were in the floating markets, I'd have had one of them by now. Because that was just awful. But then the floating market, at least the one we went to, Mulcat or Makawat or whatever it was called, was very much a tourist trap. It was very much a tourist trap. I'm just repeating myself now, so I'll get off that. But yeah, just the sheer chaos and the energy and the vibrancy of this city. And, I never stopped being a little country boy. I don't like huge crowds, I don't like lots of noise. God, I sound so fucking old. Even at AA, I had to, just take half an hour out at one point, just to chill out and relax. Because, I'd stopped being used to it, I got away from it, and it was amazing how much I adapted from when I was in Birmingham to when I moved home to Roscommon. How much I adapted again to that sedatory, almost like you're on Valium or something, pace of life. And 3 days of it, really random noise. 3 days of it now, I've really started to, and I haven't had a cup of tea since I left Ireland. My last cup of tea was the night before I left the girlfriend's. Or did I have one? Oh no, sorry, it was the morning, because I made one for the little lad as well. Well, the eldest little lad. Made one for him as well, so. And I don't know, I feel weird. I said, I'm not bored, but I am on edge. Not in a way that I feel threatened, because Thailand is not threatening, really. For the most part, the Thai love the tourism industry. Brings in a lot of trade to them, a lot of trade. I don't know what it is. It's a really hard one to define. Maybe it's just the fact that last night I only got like 3 hours sleep. I think tomorrow, because I was going to go maybe get another tattoo, but I don't think I will. I want another tattoo, but I don't think I will. I think one's enough. I might go back to the shopping mall tomorrow, have a gander around that, because that was quite nice. Because I've done a lot of the things I wanted to do. I've done the floating markets, I've done the Grand Temple, I've done the palace. I've seen another temple today. I didn't take any pictures because, to be honest, they're pretty much the same. Plus, I'm down to the really touristy thing of using my phone, because all the chargers I bought and the cameras run out. But there we go. So we'll see. It is always important to enjoy the simple things. Taking time out, it's not a bad thing to do, and so I'm sat in here in a very, very nice coffee shop. Well, I'm sat outside because I want to have a cigarette. Got a coffee, got my cigarettes, got a book, It's a lovely warm evening, humid as hell. Humidity is redonkulous. Still, it's nice. And it is important to take time out, you know. You can't run around like a lunatic every day, all day. And I'm debating whether to go back for another tattoo. One, the Thai love my tattoos. I don't know why. But you know, I'm wearing t-shirts, so, and they keep going, whoa, and they're pointing at my arm, so I'm raising up, and they love them. They love them. Another thing I'm going to mention, tuk-tuks. I know, I'd imagine I'd have uploaded it after this, but before this or after this. I'd imagine I would have uploaded it before this, where I said avoid tuk-tuks. Well, I did get into a tuk-tuk. I wanted to go back to the hotel, a bit worse for wear, so there we go. And A, it was far cheaper, and B, I had no problem. As long as you don't mind being thrown around like a carriage, because the people over here, they drive like lunatics. They drive like lunatics. So I think with tuk-tuks, they do say avoid tuk-tuks, but I think it's more to the point that you should avoid tuk-tuks who try to get you into the cab to take you somewhere. If you're just using it as a regular taxi, it's not a problem. You'll never know how much you're going to pay until you ask, but they're cheaper than cabs. They're cheaper than cabs. So, but there we